we got into this discussion, and he goes, you live out west. He goes, is the USC job, he goes, correct me if I'm wrong. He brought up a really interesting point. He goes, when they hired Pete Carroll was out of football and writing a column on football for some website. And I didn't know that. I'm like, really? He goes, is USC out of their gourd? John Harbaugh, Sean Payton. And it was funny because I went back last night and I looked at the history of USC football coaches, and I'm getting all these John Harbaugh, Sean Payton names. And the truth is, they were turned down by Kevin Sumlin, and they were turned down by Chris Peterson. Chris Peterson was at Boise State and turned down USC. Kevin Sumlin was at Texas A&M, which is in the middle of nowhere. And nothing against Texas A&M. It is in the middle of, Texas has some nice towns. That ain't one of them. There's nothing to do there. It's like the 37th biggest town in the state. And after like the 3rd to 5th, you'd never heard of them. And sometimes I wonder if you're reaching up there and reaching for the stars, and how about just getting a really solid college football coach? You know what I mean? Instead of reaching for the stars, because the downside to hiring the star coach, Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban, what's the downside to that? John Calipari, what's the downside to that? They've got big agents. They have big needs. Other big jobs look for them. You're constantly fending off other programs. If you hire Kyle Whittingham from Utah, that's the last job he'll ever have. He'll never leave. And in some instances, you like a go-getter. You like, not a ladder climber, but a career ladder climber, but you like a real energetic, aspirational guy. But I think sometimes just because L.A. is glamorous doesn't mean you have to have a glamorous football coach. You know what I mean? Like Mike D'Antoni was a glamorous coach. It didn't work. Nobody knew who Pat Riley was before he was Pat Riley. So, I don't know. Jason asked me about this, and he's like, are they crazy? And I'm like, I'm not sure if they're crazy, but I think there is some sense at USC that we can go get anybody, and Chris Peterson at Boise State turned them down. Now, think about that. If I'd have said that to you 20 years ago, the football coach at Boise State will turn down the USC job. He did. So, sometimes the best person could be right around the corner, not be glamorous, be a regular guy. It depends on what you're looking for. I still contend, Kristine, you think I'm nuts on this, but this is because you're single. But if you were married with kids, aren't you? You're not married. You don't have kids.
My goodness.
You don't have kids. You're not married.
Yes, I'm not married. I don't
If
have kids.
you had kids, let's say in 3 years you have kids or something, they're little baby girls or something, it's awesome.
Yeah.
West Hollywood may not be as attractive.
Oh, 100%. I think about that all the time.
Yes. So all of a sudden it's like, I want to go to the beach. I want flip-flops and play volleyball with my daughters. I think that's being underplayed here. Why are all these coaches from Boise State, from a hole in the state of Texas, saying no?
Well, it's a hard transition to go from there to LA. If you come from like New York to LA, Chicago to LA, that's a little easier.
There's a bunch of cities in America. There's really only 2 big cities, LA and New York. Mm-hmm. Chicago is easy to get around. The first time I was in Chicago, it's a grid.
Yeah.
This part of town's a little rougher. This is nicer. There's where the good restaurants are. This street's real. Chicago is easy to get around. Easy to get around. Right. The only 2 cities in this country where you fly in and you're like, wow, that's big. New York City is big. Mm-hmm. You can live in New York City for 25 years and not know every little access point, every good restaurant. There's 88,000 restaurants. I think I read there was like 88,000 restaurants in New York City. L.A. is so big. When you fly into L.A., you go down to 10,000 feet for like 25 minutes. It is so vast. I think USC should concentrate on solid and stability and less glamour. I really do.
I agree.